For the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Invocation by Harvest Community.
Good evening, Pastor Tim from Harvest Community Church, and glad to be here tonight. Crazy evening tonight, right? The eve before a major election. Let's go to God in prayer tonight. Lord, we thank you for the privilege of being able to gather together here, discuss business of our community, to make decisions and plans, but we ask for your wisdom and guidance. We know that on this eve it's very divisive that's going on in our country today, and we pray for healing. We pray for help no matter who is elected, as we may not find out until next week. But God, we know that you are still sovereign over it all. And you place leaders in positions of power for specific reasons. And so we pray for wisdom as we go to the polls tomorrow. Many have already voted. But we pray for those that will be out, give safety and concern, and continue to guide and direct each of us as we look to you for wisdom in our life. We know that you have the power to guide and direct. We know that you have the power to help us get through anything from a virus to tragedies in our life and the circumstances that we face. And so we ask again for your help and for your wisdom and guidance over this council and this city, we pray. Amen.
Thank you. Roll call.
Sabers. Here. Rice.
Here.
Dosher. McCardle. Barrington. Allen. Chark. Here. Smith.
Here. We have, we have a quorum. Approval of consent agenda items. Items appearing in the consent agenda may be removed by a council member for discussion at the beginning of the formal agenda items. Is there anything you wish to have removed?
I don't have anything to be removed, but I want to thank Nathan for getting back to me. I had the question of whether the pond on hole number 11 at the golf course was included in this. It wasn't included in the survey, but it is included in the grant application. So I wanted to make sure that that was available in case somebody looked through all the sections. It wasn't included, but it is included in the grant.
Okay. Anything else?
Just pleased to see that Mitchell Main Street and beyond is going ahead with the Parade of Lights on December 1st, so that's exciting. Does anyone want to talk about that? Can we introduce you, Ashley? Sure. Okay, Mitchell Main Street and Beyond has a new director, so this is Ashley Enders.
Hello.
You want to tell us a little bit about yourself and maybe talk about the Parade of Lights?
Sure. My name is Ashley Enders, like she said, and I just took on the director role with Mitchell Main Street and Beyond. Born and raised in Mitchell, so I've seen some of you around throughout. We're looking forward to the parade this year. I think that's one thing hopefully COVID cannot take advantage of. It's an outdoor event, so I think we'll be fine to still host that. Other than that, thank you for considering it.
Okay, thank you.
Move approval of consent agenda.
Have a motion by Mr. Rice, second by Mr. Sabers. Further discussion? Anybody else in the audience wish to address it? Roll call, please.
Dosher. McCardle.
Aye.
Allen.
Aye.
Chark. Aye. Smith.
Aye.
Sabers. Rice.
Aye.
Motion carries. Citizens input. If you need to address the mayor, members of the city council on an item that is not on the agenda, excluding personnel items, please come forward to the podium. State your name and your concern. Presentations are limited to 3 minutes. Items will be considered, but no action will be taken. Anybody wish to address council? Council have anything they want to address? Okay. COVID update and impacts on the environmental health in Mitchell. Dr. Rockwell, this is for information. They requested that they come in and give us an update on what's going on as far as the hospital and the cases, so it's your
All right.
show.
Well, thank you. My name is Hillary Rockwell. I'm an emergency medicine physician here in Mitchell. I've been here for about 6.5 years. I'm also the chief medical officer at Avera Queen of Peace, and I've had that role for about 7 months. I appreciate your time tonight. I'm here mostly for situational awareness, kind of let you know where we're at in the community and in the hospital, and also to ask for a little bit of help. So, I'm sure a lot of you are watching or probably watching. The numbers are obviously going up. We've had over 200 cases in Davidson County over the past 5 days. They're going up everywhere in the state as well. This past week in the hospital, we have had deaths. We've transferred now 5 intubated critically ill patients to Sioux Falls. And we're staying pretty full with COVID patients as well as just our regular hospital volumes. And this time of year, they tend to start going up when we see more flu, pneumonia. We have our falls and hip fractures, our car accidents, everything else to consider. So, you know, a month ago, on a daily basis, we had an average of probably 3 to 5 patients in the hospital with COVID. Now we're up to about 10. Honestly, if the numbers keep increasing like they are in the community and around us, we're going to see 15 to 20 inpatients in another 2 weeks. And again, this is in addition to our usual volumes, which maybe doesn't sound like a lot, but we're not a big hospital. We have limitations of resources and especially staff. You know, we're pretty secure on PPE right now and masks, but I can't fabricate a nurse or a tech overnight. And that is, you know, where our limitations are. We need to stay open. The hospital has been closed a few times to admissions over the past month because we've been full and we've been short-staffed. Some of it is our staff are out for regular reasons. They get sick, they have babies, they retire, they resign. Also, our COVID patients take a little more work. The staffing ratios are different. They generally have oxygen in different forms, a lot of medications. There's a lot of donning and doffing of our PPE, and it's time consuming for the nurses. And they're working hard, and we're doing a lot of things to try to mitigate this. We're pulling nurses from clinic and from the OR, but we need to keep clinic open so that everyone else can be healthy and taken care of and stay out of the hospital. We need to keep some of our ORs going for cases that need to be done. But we are getting a little overwhelmed, and we're very nervous about the next month and a half.
I'm sorry to interrupt. Can maybe get a little bit
Oh,
closer to
sorry.
the mic? I'm just getting people that aren't hearing.
Okay, sorry. All right. In addition to our hospitalized patients, Avera-wide, we have about 600 people on a home health care program that have COVID. And about 100 of those people are using oxygen at home that didn't use oxygen at home previously. So we're doing everything we can right now to keep up and to take care of everyone. We have exponential growth of numbers. This isn't just Mitchell, but we can definitely see it here. So all of our hospitals are feeling the strain and have been full. Transfers can even be difficult recently. Even our EMS crews are feeling the strain. If the numbers keep climbing at the rate they're climbing, we're going to hit a tipping point with healthcare where we're not going to be able to take care of everyone. Right now, you know, we're not there yet, and we're doing everything we can to not get there and to staff accordingly and mitigate ourselves, but we need your help. COVID's real. It's here. It's not going away after tomorrow or next week or the next month. You know, I'm hopeful for a vaccine, honestly, by the spring. And most people are going to have a mild illness, and that's great. Thank God for that. Most people will not get that sick, but there are a lot of people that are going to get sick, and they're going to have significant illness, morbidity, and mortality. And at this point, we really don't know what the long-term effects are going to be. This is not the same as influenza. This is not the same as every other respiratory virus we see, especially in winter. It's a relative of the common cold, but it's not the common cold. A person admitted to the hospital with COVID has a 5-time increase in mortality compared to a person admitted with influenza. Thus far, we've seen no seasonality. You know, influenza is predictable. We know it's going to start about November, and it's going to be over about March. We can predict that our worst month is usually January, and it generally goes away over the summer. We don't have any of that yet with COVID. People that are admitted with COVID are in the hospital for a week and sometimes a month. It's not something you turn around from quickly if you are ill enough to be hospitalized. There's not a cure. There's not a quick fix. We've had time to learn a lot more about the disease, and we're figuring out better ways to treat it, but it's not going to be a quick fix, and there is not going to be a magic bullet cure. We still don't know what the long-term effects are going to be. If you look back at the Spanish flu and SARS-1, there was a lot of significant long-term health problems in people that were infected and survived. So I'm here tonight to ask for some help. Some of this is just, informational to let you know where we are in the hospital and what's going on, because I don't know that that gets out or people realize. And I am here to ask for help. I don't necessarily want you to suit up and come work in the emergency department with me. We can talk about that aside if you'd like to. But I'm not proposing a mask mandate. I'm not saying close business. I am saying I think if we work together, we'll be much more likely to keep businesses open and keep people healthy. This is, like I said, not going to go away. There's not going to be a vaccine for months. There has never been herd immunity achieved with a virus without a vaccine. It is up to us to slow the spread so that the hospital and the healthcare are not overwhelmed and so that our community stays healthy. So, there's 4 basic things we can do, and it's pretty simple. Wear a mask, socially distance, wash your hands, and stay home when you're sick. Here's what we know about it. It's a respiratory virus. It's spread via droplets. We spread droplets when we cough, sneeze, talk, breathe. Wearing a mask helps you keep your droplets to yourself. And that's really the whole point of the mask, is that you don't infect someone else. People can spread people can spread the virus before they become symptomatic, and some people will have mild symptoms or no symptoms at all, but they can still spread it. People tend to get really sick about days 8 to 10, but generally have mild symptoms before that. So right now we see 56 positive cases this morning out of our testing centers here. That means in about 10 days, we're going to see that increase in cases in the hospital. Right now, the spread in South Dakota, an average person will spread it to 1.15 other people, which doesn't sound like a lot, but it's an exponential spread. If we can lower that number to below 1, we actually flatten and start to drop. If we get up to 1.3, our cases triple in 2 weeks. As it is, they'll double. Masks are not dangerous. We've been wearing them in healthcare for years with no impact to our physical or mental health. Surgeons have been wearing them in the operating room for over 100 years, and that's because they knew it helped prevent infections. Many industries wear masks and PPE. In fact, a lot of industries fought to have their employers provide PPE, and their health is better for it now because they wear it. Masks don't cause a drop in oxygen or a rise in carbon dioxide. When you combine them with with distancing, washing hands, staying at home when you're sick, we can make a difference, and that has been shown. There's plenty of evidence on both sides of the mask issue, and I think it's unfortunate it's become such a big political issue, and I would be happy to send you plenty of research and information about it if you like. I'm not here tonight to go through all that. I'm really here to appeal to everybody's common sense, their sense of community, and their sense of duty. I always talk to my patients about risks and benefits of treatments and workups, and I can look at this in the same way. What's the risk of wearing a mask, distancing, washing my hands, or staying home when I'm sick? I think it's pretty minimal. I haven't been able to be as social as I like, but it's a small part of my life, and it can prevent other people from getting sick. Wearing a mask all day, sometimes it's irritating the skin, and I have to smell my own breath, but that's about the worst of it. My hands are very dry from frequent washing. Again, I think I can handle it. The risk or the benefits are that I don't expose somebody inadvertently. My neighbor, my nurse, my patient, the clerk at the grocery store. And by exposing them, potentially causing them serious illness, morbidity, and mortality. I don't expose the local store owner, who then has to shut down her store for 2 weeks. And I can potentially help flatten the curve, which right now looks like a cliff. This is not going to go away. We can't wish it gone. I've been trying to, and it's not working. Places are seeing a second surge. And, we're still getting into our first surge. We need to work together on this. The next several months are going to continue to challenge us in our personal and professional lives. I've seen anxiety, fear, anger, frustration over the past 7 months, and we're weary. We're tired of this. Everybody is. But I've seen grace, hard work, and kindness. And, that's the reason I live in the Midwest. People work together. We're neighbors. We care about each other. Then the only way this works is if we work together. So I'm here to ask you to work with us in healthcare. You may have seen last week the three major healthcare systems in the state, Sanford, Monument, and Avera, came together for a Mask Up SODAC campaign. And I think when you see the three healthcare systems get together on a topic and promote it, that it's probably pretty valid. I encourage you to do the same thing. Set the example. You as council members are community leaders, and there are community members here and listening, and I encourage everybody to do the same. You know, in the hospital, my staff and I are there for you 24/7, weekends, nights, holidays, we're always there. And we are asking for you to be there for us right now. We're getting overwhelmed. We're really worried about the next month and a half and what it looks like. And then even after that, if we don't do something, and we need your help for healthcare right now. I'm happy to answer any questions I can, and I appreciate your time.
Thank you.
I have a quick question.
Yeah,
You know, the mask covers your nose and your mouth.
correct.
I keep hearing with eyes, does it affect the eyes like it does when you breathe in through your nose and your mouth,
As far as
getting contagious?
getting, so, you know, the eyes are a big place of spread to yourself by touching them is really the big risk.
Like the droplets and stuff?
Droplets certainly can, and that's why at the hospital you'll see us all wearing face shields and goggles. I think, you know, general around town, it's certainly up to you. It's certainly another layer of protection. And certainly the eyes are a mucous membrane that you can become infected through.
What is the number of individuals that's coming, you probably won't have an exact amount, but just approximately, that are outside the city of Mitchell when you're seeing them? Obviously, we've got a large trade area.
We do, yeah, and so that's why if you just look at like Davidson County numbers, it can be a little bit deceiving because we certainly encompass a larger area. I don't know that I have it broken down by, you know, where we have, you know, where everybody's coming from when we're seeing them.
Dr. Russell?
That were so many.
56 this morning, more than 40 were from Mitchell.
So.
So roughly two-thirds.
Oh, of the 56 reported positive this morning, 40 of them are from Mitchell. So.
They can hear online, we have quite a few people watching.
All right.
I have some questions that I've been given to ask you. These are not my questions, they're
Okay.
other people's questions. This first one says, he wants me to say this. I have constituents who do not believe in the effectiveness of masks. They point out a number of cities, states, nations that have mask mandates and very high usages of masks, and those places also have high rates of cases. Those constituents want to know why places with high rates of mask usage can also have some of the highest rates of infections if masks work.
A lot of it's an all or none. You know, if everybody's wearing them, then it makes a big difference. If everybody's not, then it's still going to spread. If you look at countries like Taiwan, South Korea, the Philippines, Hong Kong, they have, in Taiwan, they've effectively squashed it. They had very few cases and 7 deaths, but they had a very early and robust masking, distancing, contact tracing and testing, as well as staying home when you're sick mandates. And these are countries that have seen more outbreaks than we have. These are places that were more affected by the SARS-1 or MERS, but were, like I said, a little more aggressive in their initial treatment or initial mitigation. So I think part of it is, like I said, it's sort of an all or none. If we're not doing it, if I'm wearing a mask at the grocery store and you're not, you can still infect me. Wearing a mask doesn't completely protect you. Like I said, it keeps your droplets to yourself so that you're not infecting other people. And now we're into this exponential growth where, you know, one person infects 1.5. Well, when there's 100 people, that's 115. And when there's 1,000, then that's 1,100. And things grow exponentially. So until we all start doing these things, then we're going to continue to see growth.
And I would add, I mean, I would argue that case because at our last council meeting, I showed a report by the CDC that showed that wearing masks in Arizona actually did first stabilize and then create a drop in cases. So I would answer his question myself as well as saying, I don't think that's necessarily true.
Anything else? No, it's just information only. There's no action going to be taken or anything like that. So, anybody, any other questions for Dr. Rockwell? Thank you.
All right, thank you for your time.
Yep, thank you.
Quarterly report and presentation by the Mitchell Area Chamber of Commerce. Mr. Lambert.
Good evening, Mayor, council members. David Lambert, Acting Executive Director of the Mitchell Area Chamber and Development Corporation. In your packet, you should have received the third quarterly report. And as we have done in previous quarters, I'm here to kind of highlight for you some of the things that we've been doing. Recognizing that obviously this is an unusual year, not only from a healthcare perspective, but obviously from a business development perspective, and they go hand in hand, we have continued to try to push forward on those issues that are most important. And obviously, workforce and housing are still the two most critical components to the work from the Mitchell Area Development Corporation's perspective. What you see there from a workforce perspective is kind of the highlights of our Mitchell Area Manufacturers Association efforts to try to get word out with regards to the impact that manufacturing has on this community, and highlighted by that last week in September, first week in October, in which we went to the middle school with actually some of the pieces of equipment that we build in this community, and had some of our manufacturers there to answer questions, all very good questions, and quite honestly, a great learning opportunity for everyone involved. In addition, we continue to use our social media to list the number of job postings, and as I understand from our outreach to area businesses, they continue to seek employment, and thankfully, they're seeing more actual applications than they have in the past. Part of it, I'm sure, due to the fact that many of the government programs that were put in place to assist people who were on unemployment have now kind of sunsetted, and so therefore, more people are starting to look for jobs and better paying jobs. Our unemployment rate continues to stay below, obviously, the state unemployment rate, and that is a little bit concerning for us, and we continue to look for ways that we can try to enhance that. Recruitment is an ongoing process. We don't spend a lot of time on it, but we did have a chance to do some hostings, and obviously Watco, the global supply chain distribution company, has purchased the line to the west, the short line, which we believe will be very positive for our area. They're just in the finishing stages of that, and so with that purchase, obviously, will come opportunities that we're hoping will benefit Mitchell and the surrounding communities. Any questions with regards to economic development? Okay, if not, I'll have you turn your attention to Convention and Visitors Bureau. Obviously, during the third quarter, our largest and probably most active event was our Palace City pre-Sturgis party that happened in early August. Brought some people to town, as it has in the past, although a smaller crowd, but still obviously enthusiastic. We're also thankful for the other events that are listed there, and as you can see, those top 5 events have a positive impact, obviously, on the community, because they do bring in a numbers of folks, including obviously Dakota Wesleyan and MTI with their activities. We continue to work on the social media aspect of the Convention and Visitors Bureau. We have a number of phone calls that come into our office with regards to, so tell me about your bike paths. Where are they at? Where are they located? We know that they're on the website, but sometimes it's a little difficult to navigate the website. So Jared Indahl from our team actually pulled it out and extracted it, and actually used it as an opportunity to share that information. And honestly, we've now got a link on our website directly to that. So we're in hopes that obviously as more and more people come to the community and look for opportunities to use the great outdoors, that they will be attracted to that. So if you
We
run
can
into
work on
somebody-
that for you. Mr. Powell, can you give him a hand with getting all that stuff up and improved? Thank you.
Fantastic. So that's really in a nutshell what we're doing. Obviously, many more things that are continuing to occur. COVID really has continued to stymie any potential for bringing new activities to the community, but it is our hope that obviously as that continues to start to hopefully wind down in the future, we'll be able to attract more conventions and visitors to the community. Any questions with regards to that?
Will they have buses this year?
We've had a few buses, I'll be honest with you, Danny, but, you know, to be honest with you, COVID has really kind of put a kibosh to that. Plus, as Jen Johnston would tell you, if she were here, obviously the numbers of buses has continued to decline over time. People are just, but on the same token, we've had lots of families, believe it or not, who during what we had considered to be our shoulder season, you know, late August, September, October, who are showing up with their children and basically telling us that because their children are offered opportunities to go online to do their schoolwork, they're actually taking the opportunity to put them in a vehicle and drive them across to America. And we think that that's wonderful, gives them great opportunities to explore places like Mitchell. And so, quite honestly, we're looking at ways that we can maybe explore that avenue a little bit more. Does that answer your question? Okay.
Another quick question. Have you heard much on, like pheasant hunting numbers? Are the hotel rooms good, selling a lot of licenses? Or
You know,
it's too early to tell?
and I'm sure that we've got that number, to be honest with you, Kevin, but I don't know it off the top of my head.
Okay. I'm just
So-
curious if it was good or bad.
But I will tell you that while the numbers have been down, obviously, in places like the gift shop and the Corn Palace, the amount of sales per person has actually increased. I don't have those numbers off the top of my head, but I will tell you that we've been pleasantly surprised by that.
And anecdotally, I have a friend who had some friends that were driving through town and thought they'd stop and spend the night. And I don't know if it was actual opener, but it was sometime in that week, and they were unable to find a hotel room anywhere, and so they ended up staying with our friends. So I thought, well, that's a really positive
Yes.
anecdotal evidence that we had at least, you know, a lot of hotel rooms. Maybe Dan, can you tell us anything? Yeah, that's great.
Wonderful.
Friday, Saturday was almost all
Cool. Very good. Very good.
second and third week are up from last year, from a little bit I can tell. So far, the hunters are coming, or maybe not going out to eat, drink as much, but,
Right.
they're in town.
So, any other questions?
Couple, are we making any progress on the third main areas? You know?
We're still evaluating proposals, and we've got a suspect, I call suspect versus prospect. We've got a suspect that obviously is interested in that, along with some other development downtown. Really too early to tell you whether or not we are going to have, well, we had the trick-or-treaters there earlier late last week, as part of a Mitchell Main Street and Beyond deal. We're also doing a chili cook-off that's being done.
That's on the agenda right after you
Oh,
here.
super cool. Well, then I won't get into that. But obviously, activities are using it on a short-term basis, but long-term, Mayor, we're still confident that we can continue to move forward on that.
Okay.
okay?
Have we shored up the building? And I don't know, maybe it's Kyle's question.
Mr. Mayor and Council, Kyle Croce, Public Works Director. So we are continuing and working on the window repair, and they're on the 4th floor on the 3rd Avenue side, completing that right now. We've done all that we are going to do on the tuck pointing that we've identified, and we also have the roof repair finishing up this week.
Does it look like we're still going to stay within the budget then, Kyle?
So far, we are within our initial budget was $1,000 per opening, and we are within that budget so far.
Oh, great, thank you.
And to be honest with you, it's my personal view, but I think it looks fabulous. So, thanks. Nice job. Other
It's got to be
questions?
better than the birds flying around in there.
Yeah. Okay, finally, the last page is obviously the engagement component. Kind of makes a case for how the Chamber, the Development Corporation, the Convention Visitors Bureau are all working together towards a common goal. And yes, retention expansion is a critical component, whether you're a Main Street business or one of our other businesses in the community or even in the region. And so we've had opportunities to share information, both health-wise as well as financial, with regards to the COVID. It's been hot and heavy early on, and then it kind of cooled off a little bit, but as of recent, there's been a number of programs out there. Most of you know, obviously, the Payment Protection Program, better known as PPP funding, that was established early by the federal government, and we were involved in trying to get information out early about that. Governor Noem's Small Business Relief Fund. SBA has had some COVID business loans for longer-term investment. And then most recently, the $400 million Small Business Interruption Grant Program that the legislature and the mayor, and the governor have been promoting. That came to a close last week Friday. Some initial misinformation. I think some small businesses thought that it was actually they were not eligible because they didn't make enough money, which is not the case. And I had some larger businesses who basically said, we were hurt, but not hurt that bad. And our approach was to say, listen, you can't, it's kind of like the lottery. You can't win if you don't play. In the case of this, if you don't apply, you really aren't in the running for the funds. $400 million seems like an awful lot of money, and it is. And obviously with some of the parameters that were established by the state, it made it a little bit more difficult, I think, initially for the state to really know how many participated. I'm in hopes that more people with the extension applied, and because honestly, the money needs to be expended by December 31. And so our hope is that many businesses locally will take advantage of that. So we did not only provide social media and other avenues, but we had businesses who actually walked in, and Lori Cooper and others on our staff actually walked them through the process, filled out the paperwork, make sure that, you know, they had a shot at getting the money. So, and then finally, obviously, we've got some revolving loan fund monies that are out there through Planning and Development District 3 and their ABC revolving loan fund, 0% loans, and those continue to be expended. Hopefully next month I'll be able to share with you the impact that that has had on local businesses, because we've had several businesses take advantage of that, and so we're excited about that. In addition, the Chamber continues to do ribbon cuttings, networking events, Ag Appreciation Week, Cyber Saturday, Back to School Virtual Bash, and obviously we've got our virtual annual recognition coming up on November 17th. Many of you have probably gotten the invitation in the mail, and then our hope is that you can join us via Zoom. If not, it'll be pre-recorded and obviously available at another time to review, but it's our chance to obviously review the past year and to recognize those people that have contributed to our community in the past. questions. I will take one moment, if you don't mind, and share with you that the COVID discussion that obviously Avera just had with you has been had with both the Mitchell Area Development Corporation Board as well as the Mitchell Area Chamber of Commerce Board. And I will tell you, just as it is in the public venue, it's a contentious issue. Mitchell Area Development spent all of 10 minutes on it and wholeheartedly agreed that we needed to do something more than what had been done, and so they promoted a couple of different ideas that we floated to them, the Mask Up South Dakota program, and then we talked about doing some social media at the local level. The chamber took a little bit longer, 30 minutes plus, and Steve was on that call. Honestly, good discussion. Everyone had a viewpoint. I really very much appreciated it. There is no right or wrong answer, but I think we're all struggling with what do we need to do from a leadership perspective. Because while we know that it's always been individual rights versus social responsibility, sometimes after expending our individual rights, we need to take a look at what's socially responsible as a business community and as a community in general. So with that, I thank you for your time.
Thank you. Okay, action to request street closure for VFW Post 2750 for the chili cook-off on November 8th, 2020. Mr. Croce.
Mr. Mayor and Council, Kyle Croce, Public Works Director. And so this is a request for the street closure and actually the special event permit, which was also included in the packet. The VFW Post 2750 is planning to host the chili cook-off, and this is for November 8th, next weekend, between the hours of 7 a.m. and 5:30 p.m., and they are requesting the street closure on Main Street from 2nd to 4th, and a closure of 3rd Avenue between Raleigh and Main Street. Public Works had asked that they work with the church next door to make sure that it coincides with any of their services as well and doesn't interfere with that. Other than that, it's been reviewed by PD and Public Safety, and staff recommends approval of the request.
Everything is good at the church next door then, or?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Mr. McCardle,
Second.
second by Mr. Allen. Further discussion? Anybody in the audience wish to address it? Okay, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carried. Action to award Public Safety SCUBA, FCBA, and Confined Space Equipment Project 2020-45. Mr. Croce.
Mr. Mayor and Council, so bids were opened at 1:30 p.m. on October 21st here in the City Hall building. One bid was received by Alex Air Apparatus for a total of $214,549, and staff recommends award to Alex Air Apparatus in that amount.
Where are they out of?
Yeah, that's right.
Yep, okay.
And Kyle, you say you only had one bid? Is that what you were expecting?
It was actually just slightly under the anticipated amount of, I believe we had 225,580.
This is the company that the quotes were based on, and this is who the fire department had wanted to get, so, and they had worked with these guys to get everything budgeted, so we are under the budget, as we would hope they would be.
Correct, Mayor and Council. The bid was let out to, I don't know if I have noise, but I can speak loud enough. It was let out to 3 different companies for bid, and only, obviously, the one replied to that bidding process.
I'll move approval.
Motion by Mr. Rice. Second by Mrs. Charts. Further discussion? Anybody in the audience wish to address this one? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, excuse me, opposed nay. Motion carried. Action to approve Agreement A 2020-44, property purchase for the daily lift station project 2020-12. Mr. Croce.
Mr. Mayor and Council, so this is the location for the new daily drive lift station. We've identified the location as North Harmon Drive, as you can see on the final page on your handout. That is the site that's been platted, and we've agreed with the owner of the property. The owner is CJM Consulting, Inc. on that property, and staff is requesting that City Council approve the purchase for $15,000 from CJM Consulting.
Kyle, on this image, is that square representative of the actual footprint, or is that just like showing us an area? I'm just wondering about the size of the area that will be used.
So you see where the crossing is on Harmon?
Yes.
There's a small X that's just showing the location. So
Okay.
the actual site is a 60 by 60 area
okay.
where the lift station will be.
And it'll be a little bit hidden in those trees, a little, as much as possible, with a little driveway to get back to.
It'll be offset from the right of way, and it should be basically really sheltered by the tree area.
So Kyle, this is the same location that we discussed, it was about a month ago or so, 6 weeks ago?
This is the same location, yes.
Sorry, I lost my picture there.
Move to approve.
Motion by Mr. Allen, second by Mr. Savers. Further discussion? Anybody in the audience wish to address this? All those in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried. Action on Resolution R 2020-73, declaring certain real property at 40580 250th Street to be surplus, appointing a board to conduct an appraisal, and authorizing the sale of such real property pursuant to state law. This is the Kelly property. What we're looking for is a board to appraise it. We found out there's a lot of little trip-ups when you go to appraise a property that has a high value to it. Do you want to explain some of that, Ms. Zolley?
We contacted several professional appraisers, both in town, in Sioux Falls, and other locations, and because of the anticipated value of the property, we got turned down by probably 10 to 12 people saying that it's above what their certification levels are. So just in an effort to keep the project moving, you'll see that there's an appraiser board to be appointed as part of the resolution. I've got that highlighted up there, who the 3-person board would be. So it's a lot more complicated than we thought it would be due to the
value of the property.
Yeah.
Mayor, when do you think we're going to take possession of it?
We have possession of the house. It will be roughly 3 weeks before, or a month maybe, before we get the tool shed that goes with it. She has stuff in there yet. Namely, what happened when the storm came through and tore down the shed she was building with an apartment in it, it kind of set her back in like, I don't know, June or May.
Yeah, it was that windstorm we had out west of town, 80
Right.
mile an hour.
That's
100.
set that part of her new dwelling back a little bit, and there are people that are going to occupy, her family members who are going to occupy that, so they're still using the toy shed until that's accomplished. So overall, we should have it by the end of the year, no later than the end of the year, maybe the end of November. But we are starting to move forward with the ability to get this on the market as quick as possible.
Mayor, I just wanted to point out that the lease runs through the end of the year, so
Yes.
it would not be any earlier than that unless we were to terminate that early.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Motion by Mr. McCardle,
I'll second.
second by Mr. Rice. Further discussion? Anybody in the audience wish to address this? All those in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried. Executive session in accordance with South Dakota Codified Law 125-2, personnel. There will be no action taken after this. Take motion.
Move to approve.
Second. Motion by Mr. Rice, second by Mr. McCardle. Further discussion? Anybody in the audience wish to address it? All those in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried. To my office. Oh, is that? I don't know.